Welcome to the shop. I'm Jared and this is the Questionable Garage. And this is part 3 of our first car in the multi-part series that we're going to turn $2,000 into a brand new Toyota Supra. Or at least that's the goal. That's what we're hoping to be able to do. I set aside $2,000 and I went out and found a cheap used car that needed some work so we can kind of learn together the process of fixing and flipping cars. It's a great way to, one, learn how to work on cars, or if you just need a car, fix it. Get something cheap, put a little bit of effort into it, and you have a great running vehicle. Now, we have to be honest, I broke my rules right away. One of the things I stressed a whole lot was that a great looking vehicle that only runs okay will always sell more than this. This is an okay looking truck that I've put a lot of time and effort into making run pretty much perfect. I have gone through this thing mechanically, front to back, and just completely, it's a little rough around the edges. But the good news is, it is sold. We have a buyer coming to pick it up soon, and we are able to kind of go over and show a cost analysis. This is how much we spent on the project, what we made, and basically how much each hour of time that we spent working on it ended up being worth. But before we get too far down that path, I want you guys to comment what you think our next car in the series is. First, a 2011 Kia Sonata that needs an engine for $800. Option 2, a bright red Nissan Altima needing a transmission. You know, those CVTs of Nissans aren't known for the reliability. They were asking $1,100. And the third option is a Chevy Avalanche 2500 with that 8.1 liter V8 Vortec engine in it. They were asking $2,500. I guess a dollar per number, 2,500, 2,500. And actually, I'll be honest, there was a fourth one, another 4Runner. But I'll tell you right now, we didn't go with it. My wife was smart and said, you guys probably don't want to watch the same thing all over again. When I looked it over, it had all of these exact same problems. It was a limited, a little bit nicer, initially a higher purchase price, but we just did it. So you at home, I would buy that 4Runner. Me as someone on YouTube trying to present and, give interesting content, that it didn't work out. But before we go into the final dollars and cents and sale price, where we left it at the end of episode 2 was essentially done. And then it gave me a couple more presents. Power steering went out. The brakes were acting up still a little bit. That ended up just being a simple brake bleed. But something that's really going to be cool, we talked about that shifter being loose. The buyer kind of asked about it too. And it was $10 in parts. So I've got a little bit of wrenching footage. We're not just talking. I'm going to show you guys here in this footage how you go through and rebuild one of these Toyota shifters. All you need are these little plastic bushings that are $2 each. It's not too bad. You got to pull the shifter out and then you pop your rubber down and it exposes the hinge bolt. I said you pop the rubber down. Okay, pull your metal bushings out first. Trying to show how quick and easy this is. Why are you making it difficult, car? We're making you nice. And then you gotta push the rubber down, push the rubber down, push the rubber down. There we go. Do that one more time. And this is where Dwayne gets styling choice. He leaves in me fumbling, pushing the rubber through, which should be really easy. Or he just jumps to this moment. Oh, that piece. It's my missing climate control button. What? Cool. We got our little tab to put back on for climate control. But once you get this apart, now some cars have 2 hinge points, just depending on your particular Toyota. This only has the 1. So I only needed 2 bushings, but you just come in here now and it's really easy, I swear. There we go.
This one has no bushing left. It's impressive. Usually you find a little bit of the remnant. I got a sheet right here. Just grab the 12. Run that off. Run your bolt out. Come on, there we go. And push it down, and your bushings live right in there and right in there, and it's really easy to do this job, and it's going to make the interior feel so much nicer. Now, these are designed to actually go dry, but I'm going to give it a little bit of lube. But you don't want to put too much lube, because then you're attracting more junk. I like this. It's just so worn out. There's no bushing fragments left to clean up. Makes the job just a little bit easier. Man, this bad boy was so worn out. I don't know if someone got in there and tried tightening this bolt or what. It's a little snugger in that area than it should be. Just doing what it's supposed to. Let me get some grease. I'll be right back. Alrighty, got it lubed. And get her put back together. And then, remember how wiggly it was? Look how nice and solid and nice that's gonna feel. Should I say nice one more time? But then you just go ahead, get your rubber back in place, push your bushing through, put it back into the truck, and you've just made it feel almost new. Despite things being dirty and it, you know, being far from perfect, it's one of those little things that hardly costs any money you can do to just make something feel a little bit nicer.
Well, all right, so now if you guys have one of these Toyota products, they use that shifter bushing from like 1980 to 2012. So if you have a loose floppy shifter, it's $10 in parts, a little bit of effort, and you can make it feel tight and new again. The little bit of wrenching that happened off camera, I made that loose rearview mirror tight, and we got a headlight replaced. But let's go over costs real quick. And one of these pockets, I have that spreadsheet. So we had our initial breakdown where we went over that spreadsheet showing labor, estimated labor times, costs. What we ended up going over, things that weren't in our initial estimates, was that power steering pump that blew out. Now, if you're ever working on a pump, an incredibly common problem that ends up killing them, aside from the wrong fluid, is the reservoir screen actually gets clogged, restricts fluid flow into that pump, and burns them up. So I just went with an entire new pump, new reservoir. You can find them, like for this truck, it would have been less than $100. I'm breaking my rules and went with something way overkill and brand new. That was $218. Shifter bushings were $10. I'm in the middle of 4 different videos and projects and travel. So I wasn't able to just personally detail it, so I dropped it off at a place that cut me a deal. Interior's looking pretty good on it. Hopefully Dwayne's interjecting and giving us some exciting B-roll of some of this. And they basically just said there's nothing to be done for this paint. They cleaned it and knocked the mold off of it, but, listen to your own rules, Jared. The other things we got is that knuckle assembly when we found that wheel bearing was bad. Both brake calipers, could have bought one had I noticed that other one was upside down, but you don't always. And I could not buy that one little plastic clip anymore. I needed to fix the right front headlight, so I had to buy a whole new headlight, which brings our grand total of parts to $1,487.40. So if we add in our initial purchase price of $1,200, that brings us to a grand total of $2,687.40. Now, that means I am over budget. We started off only wanting to spend $2,000, but we're being real. Sometimes you might have to go over a little bit. Now, the sales price. We ended up selling this 4Runner for $4,000. Now, I was going to potentially ask for more, but that was getting some more cosmetic work done that really didn't have time with, and it wouldn't necessarily bring enough money to justify. So they were really happy. They know their viewers, they know how well mechanically sorted it is, so they're able to pay a little bit more, not having to worry about any problems popping up on it, and they're willing to accept, you know, a little rough around the edge cosmetically. So we were able to sell it for $4,000. But we're not going to sit there and say, hey, we got $4,000 now. We're going to go through and say, all right, we went over $687.40. You at home, maybe you have a budget for a project and you're going over. So you now need to pay back your credit card, and you pay back mom, pay back your friends, wherever you ended up getting the extra money that was outside of your budget, you now have to pay it off. So what that means is our net income, including our initial $2,000 investment, was $3,312.60. Now, is it worth it? So if we take the $2,000 budget out of it, we have a little over $1,300. We spent roughly 15 hours or so working on the truck, which means our time was worth roughly $85 an hour. I'm going to say that is 100% worth it. You're not always going to end up that well. Sometimes it's going to cut a lot closer on your profit margins, but again, that's where you take the time, do the research, and figure out something that's going to work out well for you. Now, let's go through and talk about the cars I put out there. Which ones did you pick? Which ones are the ones that you're thinking I bought next for our part 2 or part 4, car 2, part 1, whatever we want to call this series, our flip series. What's our next project? Nissan Altima. No, it was not a Nissan Altima. As all Nissan Altimas, it had a lot of body damage. It had multiple headlights in the back, one whole side taken off of it, and after putting the CVT transmission in it, you wouldn't make much money. And by the time we tried fixing the bodywork, that wasn't a good plan. Now that Chevy Avalanche, that's a quirky truck. People love them, and they're good work trucks. And that 8.1 liter is a really amazing engine, but that amazing engine has a little bit of problem sometimes with the piston rings, and it was burning a tremendous amount of oil. Because that 8.1 is not a common engine, by the time we try to fix it, we would be in it way, way too deep. So we're not doing a Chevy Avalanche. So that leaves the Kia Sonata. Well, guys, we're not doing a Kia either. Even though that thing was so incredibly cheap and the body was absolutely perfect, that engine is incredibly problematic. They are not holding up very well. So when you start pricing a used engine, you go online, car-parts.com, the average price for a working 2.4 liter for a Kia is $4,500 for a car that might sell for $5,000 when we got it right. So that was an absolute terrible investment. And that's where we're going to come up with, I guess, lesson number 6 when it comes to these car flips. Just because you have cash in hand, be patient. Don't race out and buy something. Make sure you're finding something that's going to make sense for you. Now, in a raw profit sense, me going out and buying that other 2000 4Runner with a broken timing set and needing some general maintenance, that makes the most sense for making money, but we just did it. So we're not going to go with that one. I'm really considering breaking the other rules, though. I'm being a horrible example, but you can learn from my mistakes. I'm going to have Dwayne put a picture up right here. If you know what this car is, you'll understand why I'm about to potentially break another rule. I made it very clear. You don't always go for the cars that excite you because we're gearheads. We like the weird and obscure. And this is a weird and obscure car. So if you know what it is, and if enough of you absolutely lose your minds and say, Jared, go buy it, I probably am going to go buy it. But we're watching. We want to make smart decisions, because getting up to a $60,000 car from a $2,000 initial investment, it takes work and it takes smart buys. So again, be patient whenever you're at home working through something, because it's tempting. You got a nice wad of cash and you want to race out and do it again, but you can very easily burn yourself on a bad decision. Well, all right. Well, we are at the end of the 4Runner. We're on the hunt for something new. If you have a car or you see a car in the southeastern kind of United States that you think would be a good project car for us to get in this series, shoot me an email, jared@thequestionablegarage.com. Just, the more eyes shopping for something good. Honestly, though, if it's that great a deal, buy it yourself. Learn how to wrench a little bit and make some money while you're at it and learn a new life skill. I'm having fun with these series. We've got a whole bunch that we're going on and working on, and as soon as the camera starts, I get to go work on some more cars. It's a fantastic time. I'm having fun, and we're looking forward to this going on to its new owner, where it's going to serve them hopefully for many years to come. All right then, well, I need to go do some car shopping and some more wrenching. So I'm Jared, reminding you guys to always make questionable choices, and sometimes it's better to be patient than to run out and spend that money. Although I really kind of want to go out and spend that money. New project car day is always a fun day. But be patient. Questionable choices, not stupid ones. All right, we'll see you.